Christian Bale was preparing for his role in American Psycho, dressing the part, hitting the gym, getting his teeth redone. There was just one problem. He didn't actually have the part. Leonardo DiCaprio did. What Went Wrong is a podcast dedicated to the idea that every movie is a miracle. Join Lizzie Bassett and Chris Winterbauer every other week as they unearth the chaos and humanity behind Hollywood's biggest flops and most shocking successes. They aren't here to dunk on your favorite films. They're here to celebrate movies. As the New York Times said, they're movie industry people who truly love films and the people who make them. Listen to What Went Wrong wherever you get your podcasts. This episode of One Hit Thunder is brought to you by DistroKid. Hey there, One Hit Thunder listeners. Are you ready to take your music to the next level? Well, get ready to rock because this episode is brought to you by DistroKid, the ultimate digital music distribution service for artists like you. With DistroKid, you can easily upload your songs or albums to online stores and streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music, reaching fans all around the globe. But that's just the beginning. DistroKid offers a ton of awesome features like Hyperfollow, which helps you promote your releases and get pre-saves on your songs, all for free. But wait, there's more. The DistroKid app is now available on iOS and Android. With the app, you can manage your releases, track your streaming stats, and even withdraw your earnings, all from the palm of your hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. This powerful tool allows you to put the finishing touches on your tracks in minutes, ensuring they sound polished and professional every time. But that's not all. DistroKid has just launched a brand new feature called Instant Share, allowing you to easily share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more. With Instant Share, you can keep your music streaming at the highest quality while making the best impression possible. So what are you waiting for? Elevate your music career today with DistroKid and unlock a world of possibilities. Possibilities that I know all about because I've been using DistroKid for years. It's seriously great. If you haven't used it before, you're going to love it. And One Hit Thunder listeners get an exclusive offer, 30% off your first year with DistroKid by signing up at distrokid.com/VIP/OneHitThunder. That's distrokid.com/VIP/OneHitThunder.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it One Hit Thunder?
Chris, the Grammys were last night, the most exciting night in music, as we all know.
Is it? Is it really?
You know, here's what I will say. This year's Grammys were close to 4 hours long with only 9 awards given out.
Right.
That being said, I think that we got some of the best live performances from some of the biggest names in music for a large chunk of those 4 hours. And I was like regularly finding myself going, ooh, I need to dive more into this art. Like, I feel like there were these pop stars that I was tangentially aware of that now I'm like, oh, I need to like really deep dive into these artists.
Well, I'll tell you, I had punchline practice last night, so I didn't actually get to watch the Grammys. That is actually my plans tonight. My girlfriend and I are going to watch the Grammys, although it'll be nice because we can fast forward. I honestly, I don't want to watch people give acceptance speeches and stuff. I want to watch the performances, and I have a list of who won and stuff. Yeah. So that aside, this morning I did watch. One of the things you texted me about was Doechii. Now, I've seen Doechii perform on, I think it was Colbert. It was like this amazing performance where her hair was tied to two other women's hair, like all their hair was connected. It was this awesome performance. I saw her Tiny Desk concert, which was really awesome, and I watched her performance from last night. Yeah, I mean, I feel like she came out of nowhere, and it's just
out of nowhere. She won. I don't know. I would love to look into find out if this is the first time this has happened, but she won the best rap album for a mixtape. It's not even like an official release. It's a mixtape.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Which I think is crazy. Like, that's so cool. She's also only the third female rapper to ever win a rap Grammy since it was established in 1989, which is like also kind of wild. It was like Lauryn Hill, Cardi B, and her.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Yeah, that's very cool. And then I also watched the Sabrina Carpenter performance, which, dude, she's so awesome. Do
She's
you like
so
her?
likable. She's so likable. I knew her from, she was one of the stars of the Boy Meets World spinoff, Girl Meets World. She played like the female version of Ryder Strong, basically. So like there was, you had Corey and Ryder Strong, Corey and Sean. And in the show, Corey has a daughter who's a lot like Corey, and her best friend is just like Sean, and it's played by Sabrina Carpenter. And even then, I watched it, I was like, man, this girl's got like comedic chops. Like you could tell that she was really funny. And the way that she's been able to apply that to music over the last year is awesome, because she writes great music, but she's also like this whole like doing a 1930s like show tunes entrance and it just falling apart around her and then just like going in to the regular song was awesome.
Yeah, I thought she's always funny. I really like her album, and I really like her. Like it's hard not to like her if you see interviews with her or watch live performances. I know I saw from one of her shows like a fan video on TikTok or something, and the show's about to start and the video screen comes up and it's her in the bathtub, and she like, I think she forgets, or she doesn't know what time it is. She forgets about the show. And she's like, oh my God, and like jumps out of the bathtub, and she comes running on the stage and she's just wearing a towel, as if she just jumped out of, I don't know. It's just I do appreciate the effort put into like the show with her. Yeah. I like her a lot. I like that she won a Grammy last night.
So I have to laugh though. One of the highlights to me, which at first I thought, oh, this is going to suck, is they did like a medley of all of the best new artist performers, all like went up there and had like maybe 2 to 3 minutes to perform. But what made me laugh was there was only 2 best new artist people not tied to that medley of best new artist performers, and that was Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan, because they had already gotten a much bigger like performance earlier in the show, and it was like you're watching it going like, well, I know none of these are going to win best new artist, and it went to Chappell Roan. One of the things that I think everyone's going to be talking about is Benson Boone. Are you familiar with Benson Boone at all? Because I was not.
I am not either.
Okay, he had some song called like "Still Beautiful" or is something beautiful, and it was a pretty big hit. And the way that the bit started was that Trevor Noah was like walking around the crowd with the microphone, and then he just stops and he's like, oh, look, it's Best New Artist nominee Benson Boone. People might not be familiar with you. Why don't you give him a couple notes? And he like hands him the microphone. He starts singing, and it's like a slow version of the song. And then all of a sudden 2 people come out of the crowd and rip off his tuxedo, and he's got like his performance suit on. But then this motherfucker, Chris, just walks up on stage, walks across the piano, does a front flip, lands perfectly, and just starts singing the chorus of the song.
Wow.
And
okay.
I like screamed holy shit when it happened, because it's just like such an unexpected moment. And then that's where you got the Doechii performances there. There's a couple others that jumped out at me, but really the Doechii was the big one.
Doechii.
That I was sorry, Doechii.
Dole Whip.
Yeah. Doechii. Because I also didn't realize how much of her music is like 90s hip hop throwback. Like it's a lot of like, she reminds me almost of like Salt and Pepper were one person. Like the way that she raps and the tone of her voice and everything.
Yeah, she's really cool and inventive. I definitely see her being around for a long time. When you're putting on creative performances like that, and you also have such a good flow, and I don't know, she's just super inventive. I think she puts me in the mind of like Andre 3000 or something. Like,
yeah,
the creativity and
so her next album will be her playing a flute.
Well, that's dude. I want to get into who won some things, but that flute album from Andre 3000, that was one of the nominees for Album of the Year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How? Why? I'm so confused. Like, look, I love Andre 3000, and I think it's I guess it's cool that he made a flute album, but like, why was it nominated for album of the year? That took somebody's spot that could have been nominated. I don't know.
Maybe it's one of the best flute albums the world has ever heard.
I guess.
So the other big thing that you may or may not have read about is they promised, hey, we've got a surprise. We've got a big surprise for you that hasn't been announced in advance. And it was like the head of the Grammys. And he said, like, 10 years ago, The Weeknd boycotted the Grammys because he was frustrated with like the lack of transparency and like how we run things, how we pick things. And he's like, and that meant a lot. And we did a lot to try to fix that. And he's like, and I'm really excited to finally say, ladies and gentlemen, The Weeknd. And The Weeknd just like showed up and played like a couple songs. Not my favorite performance by a mile. Like it was like, okay, that's cool. I'm sure you heard about Chappell Roan's acceptance speech where she basically just called out the record companies of like not protecting their artists and allowing them to go broke, struggle with mental health, not have the ability to go see a doctor because they're not giving any type of insurance. The other big one that I wanted to call out was that we got a tribute to Quincy Jones with a ton of great performances that ended with Stevie Wonder performing We Are the World and kind of just doing okay. A solo performance of We Are the World is really tough.
Yeah.
I think it needs that chorus of people, but there was a lot of good. The other thing that I didn't like, I mean, I appreciate it, but like at least a solid hour of this award show was dedicated to trying to raise money for the LA fires, which I think is a really cool cause. So like the show kicked off with the band Dawes, Dawes.
Yeah, Dawes.
Covering,
of course.
Covering I Love LA, which I thought was weird because I'm pretty sure Randy Newman wrote that as like a very sarcastic song about the city, but they changed some lyrics. And then instead of playing Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars instead covered California Dreaming by the Mamas and the Papas. And I will say their version of California Dreaming I liked more than Die with a Smile.
Okay.
I was like, why isn't this like, I would be like, they should win every Grammy for this performance. But
I kind of like Die with a Smile.
I don't hate it. It just was not my favorite of the Song of the Year nominees.
No, not even close. Well, how about, I mean, I saw a little bit of his stuff. Trevor Noah, like,
he was fine. He doesn't do it for me.
No. The hosts are I guess the hosts are always bad. Was there ever a good host? Who wants like mediocre, cheesy, stupid jokes? Like I saw some of his jokes and I was just like, this is the most underwhelming. I think just get a person who's good at hosting and don't even try to be funny if you're just going to be so mediocre funny.
Yeah. The biggest pop for me was that he didn't introduce somebody at one point, and it was Jim Gaffigan. Like, just out of nowhere, Jim Gaffigan was hosting, and he's like, sorry, Trevor Noah had to leave, so I'm going to do this bit. And I was like, yay, it's Jim Gaffigan. I love that guy.
Okay.
I mean, Chris, we threw our predictions out there.
Okay.
But the person who walked out with the most wins of the entire night, and who knows, maybe Drake will now sue the Grammys. But Kendrick Lamar, not like us, five awards last night that he walked away with, including Song and Record of the Year.
I'm about to see him at the Super Bowl at the end of what has been the most insane dancing on the grave of an artist I've ever seen. Now, maybe it's presumptuous to assume that Drake's career is over, but you literally are at the Grammys and people are singing along to the A minor, to a song where someone accuses you of being a pedophile. And I don't know, how must Drake have been feeling seeing, I don't know if he probably wasn't watching, but hearing about this.
Yeah, it's wild.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
If fashion is your thing, eBay is it. eBay's where I find all my favorites, from handbags to iconic streetwear, all authenticated. For real. This time, a little Supreme, some Gucci. I even have that vintage Prada on my watch list. That's why eBay's my go-to for all my go-tos. Yeah, eBay, the place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay, things people love.
If you had to pick one musical artist to listen to for the rest of your life, who'd you choose? Well, that's a fine thought. The rest of us would pick Willie Nelson. That's why I started the podcast One by Willie, a show in which I talk each week to one notable Willie fan about one Willie song that they really love. We've had guests you'd expect, like Miranda Lambert and Lyle Lovett, and others you might not, like Nick Offerman and Brene Brown. And what we've wound up with are uniquely personal looks at the life and art of a genuine American legend. I'm your host, John Spong. Y'all come check us out.
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Reed Mathis. I made a podcast called The Gifts of Improvising. That's coming out on Osiris. We talk to all your favorite improvisers.
Natalie Cressman, Marco Benevento, Tom Hamilton,
Aaron Magner,
Holly Bowling, Bill Kreutzmann, and Jay Lane.
So what, you're doing a podcast?
Yeah, doing a podcast.
So don't fear if you hear a foreign sound to your ear.
We need the gifts of improvising.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Pandolfi inviting you to check out the new season of my podcast, Inside the Musician's Brain, with new episodes airing now.
Hearing it in that room, these guys playing this thing and trying to figure out how to play this song was mind-blowing. It's so inspiring to know there's so much more to it than you ever thought. And it just opened another door.
But when people find faith because they need to, in terms of just filling a void to feel better without actually being better, that's when it becomes a crutch, much like, drugs and alcohol do.
Man, I don't have all the time in the world here. If I want to be a professional bluegrass musician, I felt like I had to take a very strategic approach, just trying to get rid of the barriers and figure out what those barriers were.
The feelings still come and I have to reckon with that, but I think I have better ways of moving forward and not being stuck, which I think was the killer for me.
Catch all that and so much more on the new season of Inside the Musician's Brain.
Hey, one-hit thunderers, thunderheads, thunder buns. All right, I'll just go with one-hit thunder listeners. This is Chris DeMakes, guitarist and vocalist for Less Than Jake, and host of Chris DeMakes a Podcast, a songwriting podcast where every week I'm joined by an amazing guest to break down the writing, recording, and release of one iconic song that they have written. In our giant evergreen back catalog of episodes, we've had rock legends such as Dee Snider and Huey Lewis, punk rock favorites such as Mark Hoppus, Fat Mike, and Brett Gurewitz, up-and-coming artists of today such as Liz Stokes of the Beths and Genesis Owusu, and even some of the artists that have been featured on One Hit Thunder. The show is even produced by One Hit Thunder host Chris Fafalius. What more could you possibly ask for? Chris DeMakes a Podcast is available for free on all the places you listen to podcasts, and new episodes come out every Monday. I guarantee you'll like it, or we'll give you your money back.
By the way, I was correct on the Beatles slightly. The Beatles Now and Then did win Best Rock Performance, a rock recording of the year, which I knew that there was no way that with the work that put into Now and Then wasn't going to get some type of Grammy in a technical stance. I was shocked that it won recording and song because, like you said, the recording is basically Mustard made a beat, sent it to Kendrick, and he very quickly just unleashed vitriol towards Drake for 4 minutes.
I mean, you could argue that that's proof of just, I don't know. Maybe he had that. Maybe he recorded these songs like months in advance, knowing that, hey, if he pushes this further, I'm going to release this one. I don't think that's how it happened. I do think that it was done on the fly. It's definitely impressive, and I'm just really shocked that a diss track won Song of the Year. I think it's pretty cool. You almost said the wrong name, but I do want to talk about that. I got to talk about that for at least 5 seconds. You almost said Kanye.
but Kendrick.
I'm sure you saw the red carpet stuff with him.
So I just saw that today. I missed all the red carpet coverage. And then it was this morning I saw someone's status that was because I think it was Taylor Swift. Oh, it was Taylor Swift gave Beyonce the Country Album Award. And it was a picture of Beyonce and Taylor Swift side by side on the stage. And it was Taylor Swift and Beyonce standing tall while Kanye's evacuated from the Grammys or whatever.
That actually wasn't true, but it's just, first of all, was he even in, who invited him there? Did he do something good other than release the worst music on earth in the past?
I think sometimes you're just locked in there for life. I'm not sure if you saw, but our boy Mega Ran was at the Grammys.
Oh, yeah?
Last night. Yeah. But I think it's because he's he's been close to nominated so many times at this point.
Well,
that I'm sure at a certain point they give you I'm sure that if you've been involved, Will Smith was there and he eventually gave out an award, but I'm I bet Will Smith gets a Grammys invite for life just for being a person who won a Grammy. I'm sure that they're constantly inviting former winners back.
I think you may not know what I'm talking about then with Kanye.
Was he? I just know that there was him. I saw a photo of him with a girl that was almost completely naked.
Oh, she was naked
on the red carpet. Oh, she was fully naked.
Fully naked. Full frontal, full back, naked.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And I guess she was wearing some sort of just a piece of saran wrap or whatever that was just completely it wasn't even something that was sheer and you could kind of see. She was naked. It was his wife and she was naked. And, and then he just took pictures with her and walked out. And I'm just this is so dumb. This isn't in an era of, you can just go on Pornhub and look at naked people. This isn't shocking, Kanye. This is just fucking stupid. It's so stupid. And, I guess it's funny. I don't know. It's just,
I don't even want to give him that much credit or time on this podcast.
Yeah,
really.
Let's not.
It's he's just trolling.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Beyonce winning for a couple Grammys. She won for Two Most Wanted for country duo. It was a song she did with Miley Cyrus. It's actually probably one of the better songs on Cowboy Carter. And then she won country album, and finally, after all these years, an album of the year, a win to Beyonce, which we have to say he does similar work as us. Todd in the Shadows has been calling this one basically since that album came out. So
wow. Okay. I don't care about this album at all, but on the other hand, in general, I like Beyonce, and I love that she won the country album of the year. I think that's cool. I just think when I look at these nominees, I really like the Sabrina Carpenter album and I really like the Billie Eilish album. I think one of those two, in my opinion, should have won. I will say that I never listened to the Jacob Collier album. People really like him and he was up for it. So I don't know.
The Billie Eilish really kind of, I want to say she got snubbed because Billie has plenty of Grammys under her belt. But yeah, Birds of a Feather, for how amazing that song is and how good that record is, I don't think it won almost any of the categories it was nominated in.
No, which is fine. She's got her share of Grammys, and I'm sure more are to come. Record of the year, of course, went to Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar. I'm surprised he took Record of the Year and Song of the Year. When
he won song first, I was like, or when he ran record first, I thought, okay.
Yeah.
well, someone else is going to win song then, obviously.
Right.
But
That's
yeah,
what I
it
thought,
was
too.
all in all, I thought it was a really good show. It could have been an hour shorter. That would have been phenomenal for me. But it was, they did what I think was a seemingly impossible task of having a 4-hour award show with only 9 awards that were being broadcasted on TV, having all these musical performances, and simultaneously trying to raise money for like the LA fire relief funds, and like juggling between like talking very sincerely about stuff. Oh, I remember what it was. This I thought was really, really, really cool. They gave up a bunch of the commercial spots. And instead of normal commercials, it was that they had musicians make special commercials for businesses that were affected by the fire. And like all the commercials were like, hey, if you want to help this skate park, here's where you can go to donate for this skate park that was destroyed in the fire. Like, I thought it was really cool for them to give up what probably would be like big money ad spots to like help out a bunch of small businesses in the LA area. I mean, it was weird watching it from Pennsylvania where I'm like, well, I can't really do much about any of these places. But like, even as a symbolic gesture, I thought it was a good one. Obviously, there was a lot of statements being made in the award speeches, all very good ones, especially big shout out to Lady Gaga for being the one who just actively was like, trans people are people and don't go hiding in the shadows because of this bullshit.
Yeah.
We're going to fight for you. Like, I like, we've said it before, I like when a celebrity speaks out.
I
Like,
do too. And I think that people that think that celebrities shouldn't, I think that that's idiotic. Why shouldn't you if you have this platform and you can speak for good? Now, if you're speaking for some hateful thing or something, then no. I mean, I guess I support your right to say it and show the world what an asshole you are.
But that's the ironic thing, is that when people tell you that they think artists should stay out of politics, they usually don't care if it's usually someone who doesn't care if the politics align with their shitty politics.
Well, right.
You know what I
mean? The same people that say that a celebrity shouldn't speak their mind and they should stick to whatever probably voted for a fucking TV
celebrity
con man as president. So whatever. Hey, I do want to say, I guess this wasn't part of the television broadcast, but St. Vincent won 3 Grammys for best alternative album. I think like best alternative music performance, and she won one more too. I think like rock song or something. Rock song. She won for that. And if you aren't familiar with St. Vincent by some chance, I saw her in concert before. She was awesome. Very cool. Like this song Broken Man that she won best rock song for. It reminds me of 9 Inch Nails. She produced it. But it's just like a really cool production, and it's a cool song. So you should check that out.
Yeah, the other thing I'm going to talk about real quick, because, they have like 70 awards, but they basically are giving them out all day long. And then when you get the award ceremony, it's like the kind of 10 big ones that are left. Rock really never gets represented on TV anymore, but I have to complain. I haven't heard this record, but... The Rolling Stones won Rock Album of the Year against like Green Day and Pearl Jam and a bunch of other bands. And I don't need to listen to that to know that there's no way that the Rolling Stones at 80 years old wrote a better rock album than some of those other artists. I refuse to accept that they put out an album that's that good.
Yeah, we had to give the Beatles and the Rolling Stones Grammys this year. We had to find a way to give them Grammys. Not take anything away from them, but the Rolling Stones beat. I don't really know any of these albums other than the Green Day album. I know people love that Idols band. They were nominated. I don't know the Pearl Jam album. I don't know the Jack White album. I don't know this Fontaines DC album. And of course, I don't know this Black Crowes album, but still, I think that I don't know, the Rolling Stones really writing a Grammy worthy album at this point in their career. If they are, I mean,
good for them. I refuse. I'll have to listen to all of those records and make my own decisions. But I know that the songs I've heard from the Jack White and the Pearl Jam releases, because like Spotify was recommending them to me, because of my
Yeah.
music tastes. I liked those.
Yeah. SZA,
well, Chris,
SZA won Best R&B, performance? Or no, not performance, song. Yeah, for Saturn. I love that song. But one more. Do we have to be giving Chris Brown Grammys for R&B album?
I saw that. Yeah, that was a questionable choice. I was in bed waiting for the Grammys to start, and I was scrolling through. Like, me and Barb were laying beside each other watching the Grammys, and I just said, "Oh, good news! Chris Brown won another Grammy."
Yeah.
Like who asked for that?
Were you happy that Norah Jones won a Grammy for a traditional pop vocal album?
Yeah, Visions is a good album. So
Okay.
I'm that's probably one of her best albums since like her early stuff. So I was happy for that win for her.
Cool.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to call out. I will say the final performance was Charlie XCX.
Mm-hmm.
And that girl puts on a hell of a live show.
Yeah, I like her.
Like watching that, I was just like, man, she's really going all out on this. She was crushing it.
I will tell you that I feel like now more than a lot of recent years, I liked and cared about a lot of the artists that were nominated. A lot of these female pop music.
Yeah.
I'm not like a Swiftie or something, so I didn't really get too into Taylor Swift over the years, but Sabrina Carpenter and Billie Eilish and, a lot of these artists I like. And of course I like Kendrick Lamar, who's cleaning up, and I don't really care about Beyonce's country career, but still,
Yeah.
I think it's cool she won. So, I'm looking forward to actually watching these, more of these performances tonight, because so far I just saw a few choice ones on the internet.
You know what? That's the thing I was going to say, because you mentioned Taylor Swift. Look, I probably would say I'm more of a Swiftie than you while still not being a Swiftie. I am so glad that Dead Poets Department didn't win too much, if anything, because it's just not like, if that was like her fourth album win or whatever, I would have been like, this is outrageous.
Yeah.
Like, that album just isn't good enough to get that win.
Yeah. And talk about likable. She's dancing, singing to all these other artists she likes. How do you
She
not...
really supports those female artists. You can tell, like, even Olivia Rodrigo introducing Chappell Roan and saying, like, she said something like, "It gives me so much pleasure to introduce a person I befriended when they worked at the donut shop I went to."
Wow.
To perform. Like, it's like one of those things where it's like, I do think that big scale, a lot of the current pops, I'm going to use wrestling as a comparison. When you look at like 80s and 90s wrestling, a lot of the wrestlers behind the scenes were all trying to battle to be like the top star, and they all hated each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like right now, it's like a much healthier behind the scenes because they're all just friends and they're like celebrating each other's victories. I feel like that's the current pop world right now for the most part, is that like all of the pop stars are into the other pop stars and like celebrating their wins more than like trying to tear down someone else for being bigger than them.
Why wouldn't you be? You're all millionaires who play like arenas. Who cares? Like, why? I mean, to your point, they all seem supportive of each other. All these pop stars seem like psyched for each other's success. And why wouldn't you be? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Especially when they're
to
making
not be.
good music. Like, I'm always going to be a fan of good music being popular music. You know what I mean? Like, I am all on board with that. And this has been, 2024 has had a lot of rough patches, but it was undeniably a great year for radio pop music.
Yeah.
Across the board. It was a stellar year. And here's hoping whatever craziness we're charging into in 2025, I hope that the good pop music at least keeps us feeling a little upbeat here and there where we need it.
That's right. I hope so too.
I'm gonna be putting on Pink Pony Club anytime that I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by the world.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
This is the story of Whitney Houston.
This is the story of Kurt Cobain.
Of George Michael, of Otis Redding, of Amy Winehouse, of Michael Hutchence, Bob Marley. This is the story of Prince.
It's a new podcast series
about how they died, why they died, and why we're still talking about them so long after.
It's like nothing you've ever heard before.
It's storytelling.
But it's more than that, because rock stars,
they tell us how we feel. They change our mood.
They change the clothes we wear, the people we hang out with,
the way we remember things.
It's them who give us those ludicrous moments, the ones where you're
jumping around, singing your heart out, feeling understood.
And it's those moments we'll help you remember, the ones you're thinking about right now.
That feeling.
That feeling.
It's coming soon from Crowd Network.
Just search for Death of a Rock Star on your podcast app.
And subscribe now.
Hey, what's up? This is Blake Weiland. I'm the host of the Tone Mob Podcast. It's a show where I interview guitar people about guitar stuff. We talk about their pedals, their amps, their accessories, their preferences, all that stuff, as well as a healthy dose of whatever comes up. Topics have ranged from aliens to addiction and anywhere in between. Oh yeah, and pizza. We're definitely going to be talking about pizza. So get the show wherever you're listening to this podcast at. Just search The Tone Mob in your search bar and it will pop right up. Come join us. We're having a lot of fun. Thanks for checking it out.
Hi, this is Chad Nicefield.
And this is Justin Press.
We're the host of Making Waves, the Shiprock podcast, a part of the Sound Talent Media Podcast Network. We're inviting you to sail away with us on an epic journey in musical enlightenment. Every week, we bring you only the best artists in rock music and discuss everything from the cruise, to the stage, to the saga of being a professional recording artist. We'll have lots of special guests along the way, so tune in every week.
Your stateroom is available every Monday morning, so welcome aboard.